Hello! Tom LaVecchia here with a special edition New Theory podcast. We had, and now have again, the Handy J on, and it was so popular and we got so much feedback that people asked for her to come on again. So Jessica, who's the Handy J, and I got together and we thought, how can we actually give you something that is useful? And although we appreciate her dick memes, which we love, we figure we put something useful to our listeners, which are a lot of millennial entrepreneurs. Handy J, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Never better. Thank you. How are you?
I am well. I'm very always happy to have you on. Now, today's theme is pretty straightforward, and I fall in this bucket for my personal account. I fall in this bucket on my professional account. How to get your first 10K. Now, not women. We're not Will Chamberlain, right? How to get your first 10K followers with a maniacal focus on Instagram. And we have the guru on Instagram. If you haven't heard of the Handy J, you're probably not on Instagram, or you're probably over 50. And number two, she has now 467,000 followers. I think even more as we speak. And she's just a guru. So we're going to start off. So the 5 tips, we're going to start off with number 1, which she will walk us through. Handy J says, define your theme or narrative. Walk us through that, Jess.
You want to, if you have a small business or you're creating a brand and you're building to 10K, or just as you're continuing to build, you want to always stay true to your brand. You have to figure out what your niche is and stay true to that. For me, my goal is to always make people laugh. That's so, if it's not aligned with that, there are days when I want to comment on different, maybe political environment, or my sister's got engaged and I want to be excited. But if I can't come up with a funny way to share that, it'll do more harm than good to post. It needs to stay true to my theme, which is making people laugh.
Okay. So there's a huge lesson there, everyone. The first is you're going to define your narrative or theme. What is your business? What's that narrative? What's going to tell that story? And then number 2 is in marketing, we call it your marketing message. In Handy J's case, is to make people laugh. So she sticks to her narrative. She sticks to her theme, and that's kind of rule number 1, right, of the Handy J gospel. Number 2,
yes.
And this is easier said than done. Consistency amongst posting and stay true and dedicated to your account. Walk us through that.
If people are following you, if you can get people to follow you, which you should, if you're sticking to your theme and that's what people are interested in, and you're providing content for that you need to keep posting. If you stop posting, not only may they unfollow, but it doesn't have any effect. If it's a week late, if someone follows you to look at your brand and then a week later you throw up a meme or a post, it's might as well be a wash. You might as well not even bother.
Okay, so and then we had a good discussion offline, so we'll obviously take it online now. There's a lot of talk, Give us an example of somebody who should just post once a day, and give us maybe whether it be a meme account or flexibility, where, hey, have at it. Give us your ranges, if you will, to post per day, and maybe give some examples around it.
For me, I personally post as much as possible. Like I said, as long as I can come up with something that'll make people laugh, every time I post is an opportunity for the algorithm to pick it up, True. Which means more people will see it. So that's more exposure. But for everything I post is another opportunity to get tags and likes. So if I post one thing and it gets 1,000 tags, that's 1,000 potential new people that will be drawn to my page or get a notification that the Handy J has posted something. If I do that 10 times a day, that's 10 times that 1,000 tags versus just the initial one if I only did it once a day. So for me, it's just always an opportunity for more exposure. I think if you're a small business, you have to be careful. Like if you're selling canoes, there's just only so many canoes people want to see every hour. But if you're building a brand and selling a lifestyle or a luxury line, there's a lot of material to post within your narrative.
Good point. Because I know, we had one account that we were working with, and we were over posting in like kind of a certain period, and we actually lost followers, even though we thought it was good content. But so be consistent, whether you're a one a day, canoe company, or maybe a 10 times a day, kind of funny meme.
I would definitely be posting every single day, even if it's only once a day. Definitely every single day.
Now.
And I think quality content matters. So if you cannot come up with great content, then stick to the one. Don't like you said, you'll lose followers if you decide I'd really like to post every hour, but there's just like only shitty canoes today. Then you really just don't post.
I don't want to jump ahead because we're going to talk more about content in number 4, but you bring a good point. And what's the definition of shitty content? Is it the lack of likes, followers, etc., or like, for example, sometimes I post things that I think will kill it, and they do dick. And there's other times that I post like a fucking penguin, and I'll get 300 likes. So
I think that's the algorithm. There is a lot of great content out there that just might not hit the mark. Like the algorithm isn't bringing it up. They posted at the wrong hour. For me, if I post a video on a Monday at 8 a.m. on the West Coast, most of my followers are on the East Coast are in the middle of their workday. They can't listen to anything with volume. It's going to tank. It doesn't mean it's bad content. I was just mistaken about when, I might not. I'm jumped the gun. I got excited.
Yeah.
I probably should have waited until after the workday to post.
Well, you bring up a great point because consistency. I mean to cut you off, but the consistency and staying true, but you may and listen, your account's great, and you make it look easy, but there's a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears. How technical and scientific are you at this point, or how were you at your first 10K, or are you more like it's more of an art than a science? So walk us through your philosophy on that.
For this podcast, the get your first 10K, it's definitely more of a science. You are a small enough account that you should be able to come up with hashtags that are relative. You should be engaging with your followers. You should be able to offer raffles or whatever you need to do so that people know and like and trust you. Once at this point where I'm at, I think it is more of an art because it's almost second nature. But there's definitely days I fuck it up. There's, like I said, there's a day I'll be like, oops, videos on a Wednesday. Obviously, no one is sitting at their work desk able to turn up the volume on my creepy sex meme.
Good point. Now, okay, so on to number 3. And remember, so at this point, we're really appealing to the people that are generally under 5K. And you're like, listen, she was telling me earlier, she's like, listen, Tom, you're under 5K, you better fucking interact with your followers because you don't have that many. You know what I mean? If you were honest. So walk us through that.
These are your favorite people. Like, if these are people who are interacting with you from the very beginning and bothering to write, the least you could do is acknowledge them. And that's good business practice. It might as well. You literally have a chance to create your own Yelp page for yourself. You want to be you are your customer service, you're your sales rep. You need to be polite and nice and responsive.
Good point. And then I know this sounds dumb, but by engaging, it's a simple liking, replying, or tagging them back. Is that it? Or do you go
you could literally like it. If someone says, great product, I was super excited, you like it. That's nice that a company acknowledged that someone took the time to let them know they liked it. If someone writes in there, I ordered these products and it never showed up, you probably should publicly write back, I'm so sorry the product didn't show up. I will be DMing you to handle this, because you don't necessarily need to handle it publicly. Sure. But you don't want to look like you ignored this person and this product's not legit now.
Good point. Now I want to give one example on my side. I want to hear your take. One company I've been impressed with their social program is Halo Top. They actually sent us like 20 samples that we did a video on. We didn't charge them. Usually, like for like something like that, we would be branded content. We would ask for a fee, but we decided to do it for free because it was a great product. And also, like, although they didn't post on their social media, they liked it, they acknowledged it, and we thought that was pretty cool. What's one company in your mind, or brand, or account that just fucking nails it from like managing their account and really their customer or their follower experience, small or big?
The dicks in a bag that you can sell, the gummies and stuff. They write back. They're funny. They come up with material that people seem to be interacting with. I really, really, really like their model, like that they've set up.
Nice. And it's actually a good point because candidly, it's a novelty, and you're not going to probably get a ton of repeat purchases, but they're treating it as if they get lifelong customers. Earlier on, you and I talked about Amazon is everything at this point. However, social media is somewhat the antithesis. So let's say you're a business and you're an e-com, but your swimsuit or your products on Etsy, like jewelry, and not on Amazon. Why is Instagram so important, and how can you maybe have a small win in your little ecosystem by using Instagram versus the big monster Amazon?
I think that, again, it's like your own personal Yelp. You're creating a personalized. People want to help the old lady out who creates these by herself, and people still want to support that and are willing to do that if they, like you said, if they are responsive, if they offer good content, if you find them funny or charming or honest. I think I'm more likely to buy things straight off of Instagram than even Etsy, because I don't. At this point, I'm barely in front of a computer to be browsing Etsy.
True. So which brings us to number 4, the content. You said the content should be pleasing and shareable. So walk us through, because I know you curate a lot of your content. Walk us through your recommendation if you curate content, and then give us your recommendation if you make your own original content.
If you make your own original content, you should absolutely be applying a watermark. There is a lot of competition in business. Anybody could use your stuff. And also, it only takes one of those to go viral. So if you can say that it's yours, that's a huge win. And you could literally wake up with, thousands upon thousands of followers. People always say to me, I have 400 something followers, and people will be like, well, I only have 8,000. And I'll be like, yeah, there was a day when I had 8,000 too. I had 8,000 followers once, like everyone else. So if you are creating your material, make sure that you're watermarking it, and try, you can't police the internet, but you can definitely try to get credit when it's due, and, like you said, certain brands make Halo Top or whatever, might go out of their way to acknowledge that and give proper credit. It's very cool.
Now, what forms of content? Because you know the algorithm better than anybody. It seems that video gets a little bit more push than still. So should you create if you're looking to accelerate, should you over create video? Should it be more organic if you feel like it? Should you do all video till you get to 10K? Give us the mix of, let's say, video versus still.
Well, I like still because you can tag people on the photo. So if you wanted to tag bigger brands, ice cream brands, or you happen to be at Starbucks, you can tag those people in the photo, which means that people searching those brands can now see your photo. So it's a huge tool to be able to geotag and whatnot, which in videos you cannot do that.
That's actually a good point. I'm taking note for that. That's actually a good point. Okay, so
want variety. Videos do get more play. So if you have a public account and there are videos, you absolutely, it's pretty cool to see that it got X amount of views and whatnot. It's cool for everybody the people who support the product, people who are making the product. But I definitely, again, you have to create quality content. If you're just throwing up videos of like, you on your canoe, then people don't love canoeing that much.
And there might not be 10,000 people.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, and maybe there are. You might get the 10,000, but you might cap out there.
Good point. Good point. Now, okay, so this is number 5, and this is obvious, but like I haven't done this, and I'm almost embarrassed that I haven't as much as I could and should. But S for S is shout outs for shout outs. Now, walk us through 2 things. One, at 5K, how do you approach people? Kind of, part of my French, but dick in hand. And like, hey, please shout me out. In exchange, I'll shout you out, And then number 2 is you have the art, which I love, of managing up. And what I mean by that is you have consistently gotten accounts that were much bigger than you to shout you out. And then now I know you're paying your return with smaller accounts. But so walk us through what you do at 5,000 and walk us through how you manage up to get those bigger accounts and how you soft shoe that.
Again, you need to take advantage that you are only at 5,000. You have a lot more time and ability to connect with people on a personal level. If you develop these relationships, they're growing, you're growing. Some of them are going to grow quicker than you. For me, it's a double-edged sword. I got lucky, and the people I worked with turned out to do really fucking well. Yeah. So I have a really big account shouting me out. Yeah. At the same time, I didn't grow nearly as quickly as them, so maybe it's not that cool. But these are relationships that I cultivated back when I had 10,000 followers. We all you want to find people who are like other small businesses, like. You're not, like you said, you're not gonna, if you're Etsy, you're not hitting up Amazon to do shout out for shout out, but there are definitely, make those people your friends. It should be a win-win for all the parties. It's not, there's enough, it's since they're followers that you're looking for and not conversion rate per se, there's enough, people can follow as many people as they want. It's not a competition. True. So it helps to help each other.
Okay, so to help each other, I get that. Now, I know it varies, but also without giving away too many trade secrets, what do you expect? So when you get in your fuckboy, 900K or 5K, what percentage or what numbers do you appreciate or do you expect when you do a shout out? Or does it vary across the board? Walk us through that, because if I have 5,000 and you have 5,000, we shout each other out. Do I pick up 1? Do I pick up 10? Walk us through like what your experience has been so far for an S for S.
I think it varies. I think if you're working with personal accounts, if I tell you to follow someone, it has a lot more weight than like a random meme account that doesn't have a face behind it, or someone. But at the same time, your fuckboy and I have been shouting each other out from day one. So our return is not as high because most of his followers are already following me. So it really depends across the board. You'll definitely see when you find like a new account that like you'll get a much greater influx than someone you've been working with all along.
Good point.
But again, you need those accounts because it's a ripple effect. So if you, especially if they're small and you're cultivating those relationships, just keep shouting each other out. People start to think of you guys together as a group. Now people are approaching me and your fuckboy to do things together. People, I think some people think that we're actually the same person, which is good though, that people are tying you in with other people because it's just more exposure.
Beautiful. Now I'm going to take an inventory, but I have some more questions. So the top 5 tips, take an inventory, define your theme or narrative, be consistent, engage, make sure it's great content, and then shout for shouts. But I do want to chat about a few other areas. Are there anything or any area offline of Instagram that's been successful to grow your account? Like meaning, are you on Snap and saying, hey, check me out on IG or Facebook or articles? Like, let's just say you're growing your account Are there any non-Instagram ways to grow your account, or is that just not worth it because it takes too much time?
No, I think there's a lot of cross-pollinating. You could totally utilize if you got into this game before there was Instagram and built a huge Facebook following, then
True.
you should utilize that. You can offer people, I'll shout you out on my Facebook if you shout me out on your Instagram. I've started to shout people out on my Snapchat. It's growing quickly. People are taking to it. So it's not nearly as big as my Instagram, but I think it's having a more powerful impact. And the conversion rate is becoming a little bit higher and more powerful. I think businesses are seeing that. You should utilize all other avenues.
Right.
I mean, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever your thing is. These Viners, I don't even think Vine exists anymore, had huge followings.
Yeah.
And,
Nice. Now, what about, let's talk about paid for a second. Like you call somebody up and they got, making this up, 50,000 followers, legitimacy. Do you recommend hey, here's a few bucks, can you boost for me? And number two, what's a formula and how do you, I'm a digital marketer. I know the answer, but I want you to share as an Instagram expert. Do you do those paid posts for, kind of pay for shout? And number two is, how do you calculate what to offer or know you're getting ripped off or not?
You can absolutely pay. There are people who like those shout outs that I was telling you. You can pay for those shout outs.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like I said, you're going to want to find people in your cohort. So if you have 10,000 followers, you're going to want to be finding a lot of other people who are just starting out too.
Yeah.
But let's just say you come across some money, I would absolutely pay, an account with 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, one or two times to put your name on the map. Like, the more times it gets brought up, the more times you come up on the algorithm. And a lot of people already know and like and trust these big accounts already. So if they're giving you a shout out, they already trust that this person has vetted for you, likes your material.
That's actually a good point. I didn't think about that because in SEO, it's like a citation and it's a big deal for somebody to recognize what you're doing. So if an account with 500,000 followers tends to maybe occasionally tag me, it made sense. Wow, this account may be growing even though we're not growing on followers. I didn't think of that, Jess. That's actually good. Now, how about money? Again, I'm a digital marketer, so I might be a bit more formulaic, but walk us through what to pay somebody maybe at 100K, 500,000, and maybe $1 million, and maybe as much as 50. Just give us kind of the ranges or formula you would use that people know what to offer.
The ranges really vary because if you're talking about these fashion bloggers, people are looking at them to buy things. They can charge a lot more. People are like I said, I want to make people laugh. I have a platform that's big enough to expose it to a lot of people, but people aren't searching the Handy J to find out what lipstick I wore last night what they can buy. So I think there's a huge range in I know there's a mathematical formula, whatever, but I don't think that even applies as much. I think the range has really, really, really expanded.
Okay, so in the digital marketing world, let's just say somebody comes to me and wants an influencer campaign, we probably would charge a customer roughly $10 for every 1,000 followers, but real followers. Now I know you don't fuck around because you don't. I can just see your engagement, but there's some people that have 500,000 followers that get 200 likes. So there's tools that we have to kind of see how many real followers they have. So let's just say they claim to have 1 million, but they really have 300. They can get as much as we would charge retail $3,000 a post now, but that's top tier. If you're strong, realistically,
and I think that Forbes and all these people wrote articles saying that was the standard, which I think over the last year, I would say, has lessened. I don't think it has as much of an impact.
Agree, because one is they looked at the total number, but when you look, let's be honest, there was some fluff. Number two, that was retail. Nobody walks in and buys a Chevy for $50,000, right? And then the third is I'm sorry, but you're right. Not all accounts are created equal. Now, in theory, we're running content. So like, and we're millennials, so Handy J is perfect for us, right? But the same token, if like, Pope John Paul like shouted us out, we would appreciate it. But I'm still going to hell, So like,
Right.
so I guess, maybe go with your gut on that one. I know it's probably not a great answer for our listeners, but maybe go with your gut. If somebody's
Yeah, I mean, this is how I think about it. It's your page. This would be my advice to them. What is it worth to you to start selling out on your page? Like if the ad doesn't go along with your brand, I'm no longer posting a funny joke. That's one time that it has to be worth it to me. I'm going to lose followers. So ask yourself, what's that worth?
Good point. And then one last question that I have is, as a digital marketer, I got to produce results for my clients, and even for a new theory, like after this call, like I got to send over a bottle of champagne to you when we hit 10,000 because I'm going to employ these tips like yesterday. But my question is, they're making it harder though, too. Let's be honest, and they kind of want you to boost your posts and pay for them. Is that a necessary evil? And like, hey Tom, you know what? Stop being cheap and like give the man the money. Or no, you know what, Tom? Don't do it because you don't need to. Where do you stand on the boosts and those kind of things?
I mean, damn the man. Fuck Zuck. I think that they are making it harder for people to grow for exactly the reason you said, because then those people can charge money that Zuckerberg and whatever won't end up getting. And I think there's enough money to go around. I think he could fucking take his hand out of the pot.
Well, it's interesting. And the reason why I reached out also second time because I want to have you on, was because I just did a webinar, and the guy did Founder Magazine, and they have a million followers in the entrepreneurial space for mostly millennials, and he did a great webinar, and I'm like really hot on the topic, and he was actually saying don't pay. It's the opposite. It's like, oh, I'll just pay I don't know, $50 a day, $100 a day to get to 10,000 and stop. He was saying it's actually
I agree with the guy.
It's actually the opposite. Do it organically and naturally. Then if somebody reaches out and wants to monetize it, take their money or then invest into the account. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that model.
Okay.
I think that everything I just told you could build your account to 10K, and you don't need to be paying a sponsored post for. I mean, you could do it that way, but I don't even know if it works. You know what I mean? Everybody I know is not doing it because, like you said, they've made it harder, so now people are having to do that. But everybody I knew who was growing initially definitely wasn't. They didn't even have sponsored posts.
Good point. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead, but you hit the 10K mark, 15K, 20K, you're starting to cook. And let's say you're like a non, you're not a brand, you're a business, but you're out there. When can you start monetizing it realistically? Like where, I'm not saying you're going to run out and run ads, but if somebody reaches out to you and say, hey, what do you want for a post? When can you start thinking about maybe doing pay for posts for yourself? At what level would you say?
I would say between 20 and 50,000, you should be bartering for things. I don't know if people are going to pay you cold hard cash, but you should be, if you're into music, you should be able to be getting music tickets. If you are a hair person, you should be able to start bartering to get things for free by 50,000.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, but like the supplement companies,
cash. If you want cold cash, I think you need at least 100,000.
Got it. Now, what about like the InstaHos, the teas, the supplements, that kind of stuff? Are they getting paid for their posts, or they're just getting like free shit and like happy to do it? I know I'm generalizing, but I just don't buy the InstaHo with 12
I think they must be getting paid because those brands are considered like sellout brands. Those, whether it's the waist trainers, the fit tees, as soon as you post that, people are like, really think you sold out. So they must be making really good money to get these girls to take on the hate that they'll get for doing this.
And if it's worth it or not. Well, listen, I'm gonna. This is going up right away. I'm gonna wrap around some content around this, and I think we should maybe look into doing something more formal because this is a hot topic and it's worth it. Any parting words? I know, like, you and I are not like super philosophical, but like, what's the the Yoda of Instagram want to leave our listeners with today in terms of your thoughts?
More boobs. I'm just kidding.
There you go. There you go. It probably doesn't. It probably doesn't hurt.
They'll grow. I mean, I hate to say it, they'll grow real quick that way.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Handy J, as always, a pleasure. Thank you for being on the New Theory podcast. We'll send this link out to everyone. And if you're not part of the close to 500,000 people following Handy J, she is at the Handy J, and just make sure your kids are not watching your screen when you're looking at it. That's the only advice I have for you. So, Jess, thank you for being on the show again.
Thank you.